I don't even know what a God is, so
Well, how would you define God?
I don't know. I'm not the one who believes in it.
So you don't believe in any God?
I don't know what it is.
So, okay, if you were to have, if you were to have a God, how would you describe?
I don't know what that means. I don't know what a God is, so I can't answer the question.
Okay. But like, you can think of how people use the word God, and you can think of that idea, right?
Well, everyone's going to define it differently, so it doesn't really mean anything.
Right. So we're asking you what you would think.
I don't know. I don't believe. There's so many people that define it so many different ways. It doesn't matter what I think. What matters is what is it, and how do we know it is what it is? Like, what is it really? Because if we just ask people what they think, and everyone gives their own interpretation, then what are we really talking about? You know, if a word that refers to something isn't actually referring to something, and it's only referring to people's, interpretation of what they feel, then we're not talking about anything.
Right.
And when you say you actually believe in a God, you don't
would
really believe in a God. You believe in an idea of a God because you have no idea what it is.
So your first point, I would definitely agree. If there's a bunch of people, all of them think something different about God, I want to know what's true, which is the real one, right?
Right.
Right? How many
Is truth,
world religions?
Does truth matter to you?
Truth does matter to me.
Okay, good.
Does truth matter to you?
Of course.
Of course, right? I want to know what's true, right?
Okay.
And there are how many world religions out there?
A ton.
Like millions, right? You would say there's so many different religions.
All right.
One of them's right.
No.
Like,
why would one of them have to be right?
Why would you say that none of them are right?
Well, isn't the conclusion either one of them's right, none of them's right?
All right.
Right?
All right.
Because when you talk about religion, you talk about the existence of things we know nothing about. When you talk about a God and stuff like that, and you think, well, one of them has to be right, that means you're assuming there's a God.
Right.
You shouldn't do that. You should never assume there's a God without knowing there is one.
So, let me tell you how I know that there's a God.
Okay.
If gravity was slightly more powerful or slightly less powerful, the world would
Young
not
Sheldon
come into
show.
existence.
Yes, I know about this. I saw that too.
Yes.
It's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad.
That's
show?
pretty
You don't
bad.
like the show? The show or that point?
So the show, but that point is really that argument's really bad because
Why do you say it's a bad argument?
well because nothing to do with the God that we know about. We don't even know what a God is. So how is that going to help us understand the God? If the world was slightly different in such a way, maybe life wouldn't exist as we know it, but it could still exist. We don't know.
No, it couldn't exist.
It
A
could
lot
make
of them.
sense.
In any sense, it does not bolster your belief in something intelligent creator. Because you're assuming that because it's the way it is, therefore it was created. That's an assumption. You should never believe in something